That's right. Hey, Brooke. So we have been waiting to figure out what the House is going to do, if the House Republican leadership is going to move a bill and what's in it. And I have here with me Congressman Devin Nunes, Republican, who you can tell us that there is news on that front now.
Well, I feel pretty strongly that here in just within an hour or two, we're going to see the bill that's going to be revealed at the Rules Committee. It'll be similar to the bill that we talked about this morning in our Republican conference and likely be voted on tonight.
And what is in that bill?
Essentially what it is a clean debt limit increase until, I believe, into the new year.
February 7th?
Yes, roughly. And I think a clean debt CR funding the government until probably December. And then with the medical device tax, making sure that there is all members of Congress and staff and White House are on Obamacare. And then making sure that there's an income verification in Obamacare. So a couple small changes to Obamacare, but all changes that the Senate actually agrees with, and I think this would be a strong bipartisan compromise with the Senate.
So first and foremost, this means that you feel confident, or you know that John Boehner feels confident, that he now has 270 votes from your Republican conference to pass this bill tonight.
I don't know that we know that we have the votes or not, but I think it would really show those who are Republicans and those across the country, those that came here to actually govern and make law and actually do something with their voting card versus just people who just want to vote no.
You have been very outspoken calling the group of conservatives in your caucus who have been basically forcing this strategy from the beginning, starting with defunding Obamacare, linking that to the spending bill and so on. You've been calling them the lemming caucus. You've even said that their strategy is moronic, very critical of your fellow Republicans. The fact that here we are 2 days before a potential default and they're still making noise about a bill that John Boehner clearly brought up to give them one more shot at making their stand. What does that tell you about that particular part of your caucus?
Well, first of all, your premise is wrong. To be a conservative, these are not conservatives that do this. To be a conservative, you have to know how to count. And we started off in this without even counting the votes. Clearly, we didn't have the votes. And so now we've been through this for 2 weeks. It's playing out exactly as we knew it would. It was not going to get rid of Obamacare. But there are times when we work closely using our majority, like we'll try to do tonight. If we can use our majority tonight to give us leverage, then I think Harry Reid will have to take this or something that looks awful lot like it. Let
me just go back to what you said. Those are fighting words. I know you've been very critical of your fellow Republicans, but to say that they're not conservative?
Well, it's not fighting, but conservatives know how to count. You have to be here to actually conserve something. When you go out and tell your constituents that we are going to just shut the government down until we get rid of Obamacare, it's just lunacy, plain and simple. So this allows us tonight to get 218 Republicans to pass something that would then go over to the Senate, that would make some small changes to Obamacare that need to be made.
You are somebody who I think it's fair to say is a pretty close confidant of John Boehner. Take us inside his head, or at least the walls of the leadership, as he's been trying to navigate this for the past, 3 weeks or so?
Well, look, he fully gave this Cruz strategy a chance. He fully implemented Ted Cruz's strategy. And look, he didn't want this. This is not what he wanted, but he did everything he could to push it.
Was it a mistake?
Look, I think it was a mistake, but what choice was he given when a majority of our conference wanted to implement it? I think now you're seeing a majority of our conference has figured out that this was probably not a wise move.
So looking forward, do you think, or do you know, that John Boehner knows that since we are so close to that magic date of potential default in 2 days, that he is going to have to do what he has refused to do for the past 3 weeks, which is put something on the House floor that is likely bipartisan support, Democratic votes, and maybe not all of your Republican caucus?
Well, that's what this is tonight. This vote tonight is something that has support of Senate Republicans and Democrats. This is something that we need 218 votes to pass because the Democrats are going to give us no votes. Because let's face it, the Democrats like having this shutdown. This is helping them politically. So we have to just wait and see if we can get the votes tonight. And then Harry Reid's going to have a tough decision to make, because then it really will be Harry Reid's default.
You don't think any Democrats will vote on this tonight? I mean, I know that's not probably a proper question to ask you since you're a member of the Republican conference, but is the Speaker devising this with the idea that maybe he will get some Democratic votes?
Well, we know that in the Senate it will get Democratic votes. We know that there's strong bipartisan support for this. In the House, it's a much more political. This is one of the things that some of my conservative friends haven't figured out yet, that without 218 votes in the House, you just don't have any leverage. So I don't suspect that Nancy Pelosi is going to give us very many votes, but there'll be a few Democrats that will vote.
Now, before I let you go, just want to clarify one thing that you said about the changes that the Speaker made to this Republican plan. It sounds like what you're saying is that not only would people like you, members of Congress, the President, the Cabinet, not get federal subsidies for your health care, but also your staff. Is that what you're saying? You're expanding it to include congressional staff?
As I understand it, yes, that's true. So all members and staff in the White House, all members of Congress, and their staff.
You feel comfortable taking that money away from people who are making, $18,000, $20,000 on your staff?
Well, look, I don't think it's wise. I think it's an argument that we're going to have. Clearly, the American people believe that everybody should be onto Obamacare, and I don't actually disagree with that. The issue is what about the employer-supported plan that you give to all federal employees, and should our staff be treated differently? I get that, but the problem